For more insights, we are joined now by aviation analyst Geoffrey Thomas. Well, thanks for joining us on a Friday evening, Geoffrey. I just want to touch on some of the latest news lines coming out, where a pilot with 7 years at Muan International says that he was never informed of the 2-meter-high, 4-meter-thick concrete mound believed to have caused that explosion. And I'm curious to know what you think. I mean, is it possible that something so large can possibly go unnoticed by experienced pilots?
Look, it is very strange, the comments that have been made, because the mound is where the localizer is, and it has to, the localizer at that airport had to be elevated. Now, for viewers, the localizer is a critical part of the instrument landing system. And at that airport, after the runway ends, the ground drops away, and the localizer has to be raised to be at a certain height. And so that's why that structure is there. Now, there's a lot of confusion because in actual fact, the structure is 300 meters beyond the end of the technical end of the runway. Now, I know the vision shows that part of that overrun is paved, so people think it's part of the runway. It's not. It's part of the overrun. The question then would be asked, well, maybe the overrun area should have been with the new EMAS system, which is engineered material arrestor system, sand or gravel, something like that, instead of a paved section of tarmac, which would have obviously slowed the aeroplane up far quicker than the existing overrun area. But that airport does comply with international standards.
Right. Well, thanks for clarifying about that thick concrete mound there, Geoffrey. Now, I want to talk about South Korea's data extraction capabilities, because it seems like there are limitations, right? And they've also made a decision to send the black boxes to the US. And I'm wondering, how do you think that's going to affect investigation timeline?
Well, my understanding was that the cockpit voice recorder had been downloaded in South Korea, in Seoul, and they were working on a transcript of that for release. Now, the next thing we heard was the digital flight data recorder, which we knew was damaged, had been taken to Washington, to the NTSB, the American investigator. And now we know that the cockpit voice recorder also is being taken to Washington. Now, this is not unusual because they have all specialist equipment to analyze these two black boxes, but it may well be that the South Korean authorities do still release a transcript of the cockpit voice recorder, but the Americans may well add some particular dynamics to that transcript, some more understanding of some of the things that were going on. So there's a lot to be understood about a cockpit voice recorder, all the sounds, the alarms, and whatnot that's going on, and trying to interpret it and trying to absolutely understand what challenges the pilots were facing.
So the South Korean Transport Ministry, they're estimating a timeline of 6 months to 3 years, based on what comes out of those black boxes. Is that a realistic timeline?
Well, look, in a typical air crash, first of all, the South Koreans, like every other country, have to produce a report within 30 days. Now, that report can simply say, yes, the aeroplane crashed and tragically 179 people died. It needs to just say the basic facts. The interpretation of the flight data recorder and the cockpit voice recorder can take many years. In this case, I do not believe it will take anywhere near that amount of time. I think we will have an understanding of what went on in the cockpit within the next 7 to 10 days at least, because in South Korea, the public is clamoring for answers. The government's under a lot of pressure to give answers because of other political imperatives that are going on in that country. So I would suggest that within 7 to 10 days at the maximum, we will have a transcript of the cockpit voice recorder. And the other thing that's very important is to pass on to all the relevant authorities and other airlines any learnings from this particular tragedy to say, hey, listen, this is what happened to us, or this is what happened to this crew. You people, you need to know about this particular scenario. So the whole idea is to prevent another such tragedy. So the quicker the information is disseminated, the better.
Okay, so 7 to 10 days for the transcript of recorder, that's what we can expect. But there's also the possibility that the black boxes could be corrupted or incomplete, perhaps. Geoffrey, how then would investigators proceed from there?
Well, look, there's always a possibility, although the black boxes are designed, the inner core of the black boxes, which have the memory chips. So the black box itself could be badly knocked around, the outside of it. But the memory chips inside are secured inside 3 different layers, titanium and other materials. And they are designed to withstand a force of 3,500 times the force of gravity. They're also designed to withstand 2,000 degrees Fahrenheit or 1,100 degrees Celsius. So they're virtually indestructible. Now, yes, there could be some sort of damage, but in the United States and in some other countries, they have the means to extract that data. So I would find it incredible that they could not extract the data necessary to find the cause of this accident.
A really insightful chat there. I learned plenty from you. Thanks so very much for your time and thoughts, aviation analyst Geoffrey Thomas.